Hello, welcome to the Citrus Garden. My name is Christina. This is a reading for Aquarius, or if you're just feeling drawn to this message for whatever reason, then it's for you. The main focus of your reading today, Aquarius, are 3 questions. What's your current energy? What's something good that you can focus on? And where is an area of growth for you, Aquarius? So, I've already pulled your cards, and we're actually going to start with the Moonology cards today. I usually end with them, but I'm going to start with them because I feel like it absolutely gives the summary of what your reading is about today. So first of all, you have nothing will come of this situation and your hard work is paying off, the new moon in Capricorn. So these 2 cards came out together, and I feel like that's like your current energy of like you're at the point where you've been working towards something or putting a lot of hard work or effort into something, but fearing perhaps that nothing will come of it, right? It's like you've been doing something for a long time or nurturing something and just like being in this energy of like fear perhaps or worry that nothing will come of it. But what you have next, which is incredible, and I just dropped all of the cards, the end of a tough cycle approaches, the full moon in Capricorn, right? So it's like going from the new moon to the full moon in Capricorn in one step is kind of how it's feeling. So the end of a tough cycle. And then you have your balance, spirituality, and practicality, the full moon in Pisces. So this is what's wanting to be explored. I feel like for you, Aquarius, you may want to take a look at the Pisces reading because I actually already recorded the Pisces reading. I had sort of the intuition that I should do that one first, even though I usually tend to upload in order of the zodiac. So I am going to upload them at the same time, so you can choose which one you want to watch first. But I feel like, especially if you're sort of waiting or anticipating the arrival of a specific person, then I feel like that Pisces reading is for you as well. But it doesn't have to be sort of like a specific person. It could just be like an opportunity or a manifestation of some sort. So we're gonna actually get into the reading now. Sorry, I had to just pick up all the cards that I dropped. But we are starting here with especially this combination of cards, the lizard and the otter. So it's kind of like, I feel like I had the intuition to do the Pisces reading because if I were to do the Aquarius reading first, it was kind of like, I feel like you Aquarius would not believe me if I told you this, right? If you were just to watch this reading, which is a very extremely positive reading for you today, Aquarius, that it's almost like you've convinced yourself that it's not true. And that's sort of what is wanting to shift. It's like the lizard always sort of talks about like thirst, like not having enough water. And it's like you're perhaps looking to another person or an opportunity or just the environment of being sort of quenched, right? Like that kind of dynamic. And it kind of feels like, Aquarius, you've been either in this position for a long time, or it's like you've just been putting in a lot of work and not a lot of results or effort or the return has come back to you yet. But what's happening in your reading today is that it is about to. And if you are feeling any sort of resistance towards that message of like it's not about to, I hear this all the time and it's never gonna happen, I would check out the Pisces reading because that's like, it's like one step ahead of where you are right now. And I feel like that will sort of help you, like listening to that reading, for me at least, like for doing that reading first allowed me to sort of get into that a more positive energetic space, I want to say, in order to receive the message for your reading, even though this one comes first, right? So that's sort of what's happening. You have here the Teacher's card, which is so interesting. I feel like that's going to come up soon. Sorry, just because the gazelle is your energy and in your current energy today. So I'm going to talk about these 2 together. And then you have, for the bottom of the deck of the tarot, lots of things here where you have the World, the Lovers, the 7 of Materials, which is your energy of like putting in a lot of work. But it's almost like because you've been doing that, your focus has been on your work, right? You haven't had the opportunity to almost look up and see that this opportunity is like right in front of you. The Four of Inspiration and the Awakening card, right? And so that's what this message is talking about. It's like on either side of you in your focus, there's all of this like beautiful energy. Okay, so let's get into your current energy. Aquarius, you start off here with the black egg and the golden egg, which is incredible. I've never seen these two cards come out together, and the gazelle. So it came in with this message of like Daenerys from Game of Thrones, where she has these eggs, but it's like she's not. It's almost like because she's been in such a difficult position for such a long time that it's almost like she receives these gifts, and it's almost like they're not sure if they're going to actually yield anything, right? Because it's just been a while, but it's kind of like it's talking about these two came in with the energy of aces today, right? This being sort of the Ace of Swords with the throat chakra, this one being the Ace of Pentacles with the heart chakra. So it's like you have perhaps two opportunities or two different aspects of your life that have yet to show any sort of movement, right? It's almost like they're dormant or have been in a state of like non-movement for a very long time is kind of how it's feeling. But with this gazelle, just so incredible. It's like you've been keeping your eye on these two things. I see this as like a heat lamp of like putting these eggs into the incubator where it's like you've been so focused on generating enough energy for these two perhaps separate or perhaps two separate opportunities or manifestations to crack open, right? For there to be movement of some sort in these two opportunities. And I was seeing this gazelle as being like, kind of like when you don't blink, your eyes start to water, right? With this, with the tear tracks, right? It's like you've been so focused on watching these things happen, right? And then it's all of a sudden it's here. The initiation card, because I'm always drawn to like sort of the two circles, right? Two things, two perhaps areas of focus that seem disconnect, but of course the heart and the throat chakra are linked, right? Like they're directly attached to one another. And so I feel like perhaps even if they're not two different opportunities or something like that, there is now movement. It's like all of a sudden there's something changing, right? It's like the eggs are starting to shake a little bit, right? They're starting to move. There's perhaps like a crack in one of them or something like that. And then you have here the emptiness and the transcendence card, which is interesting because it's kind of feel like with this emptiness card, I feel like it's like you're worried that the eggs are going to be empty, right? It's like they crack open and then there's nothing in there. That's kind of what I got with this emptiness card. But you have transcendence, which is incredible because it's actually something much, much, much more. It's like there's much more is kind of what it's feeling like. Like these are the seven of the seven of emotions and the 10 of inspiration. I'm just laughing because I just imagine like one egg opens, you're expecting there to be nothing, but there's actually like 7 fish. The other egg opens, also you're expecting there to be nothing, but there's actually 10 bulls, right? Like it's like a multiplication or an expansion of exponential sort of levels that is coming from these two things or two opportunities or two areas of your life that have seemed to be almost non-moving, dormant, right? And I feel like actually for you, Aquarius, it may put you in this state of like the 3 of voices, and I'm laughing to sort of it kind of feels like a nervous kind of like laughter, where it's kind of like the only thing you can do in this situation, Aquarius, is to laugh, almost to like release some of the tension or the perhaps fear, right? Perhaps actual fear of this opportunity, because it's like you've been keeping your eye on these things, but it's almost like when it hatches open, when it arrives, it's so perhaps overwhelming in some way, just because 10 of Inspiration comes with the idea of like a lot of things to do, right? A lot of like having a lot of sort of responsibilities or something. And then the 7 of Emotions talks about a lot of choices, right? Or confusion, or like not sure what the next thing is, or because there's so many options, right? So it could be coming in with that energy of overwhelm, just because it's so much more than you were actually expecting. But the good news is that you have the 3 of Materials and the 6 of Inspiration, which is talking about collaboration, that you will have support in whatever this thing is. Perhaps like a new partnership, especially if you're connected to that Pisces reading, which I feel like very much so these readings want to go together. So regardless of what your sign is, I feel like there's a message in there for in both readings today. But regardless, it's like you will have support. You will have sort of people to work with, people to support you. That will be a very positive experience, right? It's like the initial perhaps shock of it might be overwhelming, but it's like soon after that you're gonna have all of this sort of beautiful collaboration energy, okay? And then you have here the reciprocity and the nourishment, which is of course all of this energy, right? This is the energy of reciprocity and nourishment. Right? I was laughing at this interaction, because it's kind of like, I was just thinking of like having sort of like all of these mouths to feed all of a sudden, right? Having a whole bunch of mouths to feed, but it's like you will have the resources necessary in order to feed all of them. It's kind of how it's looking to me today. Just having like enough food for everyone, or that kind of thing. And reciprocity is like, there may be a specific kind of partnership in this. It doesn't have to be, though. It could also be that like all of these opportunities, or perhaps like it could just be like, if it's like something like work, like you've been trying to like get a job, or even just like a promotion or something. It's like all of a sudden you're the lead of this group, right? But I feel like it's going to be sort of, even if there's like many people, it's going to be, each dynamic that you have with each of these people is going to be very reciprocal and giving back to you, right? So it's like you're not, even if you may be sort of like the lead or the center or whatever it is, the one who has the most responsibility, it's like those people, the ones that you're interacting with, the ones that are part of your team, will give back to you, so that you're not just the only one who's sort of providing the nourishment, whatever that is. It's like all of the cups sort of flow into one another to sort of create a bigger kind of energy that you can all draw from, right? It's like they're not just going to be sort of it's not going to be a one way, you just give everything that you have into this group. It will also give back to you, is what it's talking about, which is just incredible, Aquarius. Okay, so the next part is what's something good that Aquarius can focus on. And you have here this interesting dynamic of the sea serpent and the shark, which is so interesting because the shark came out in a previous reading, I can't remember which one it was now, talking about something that is misunderstood. I feel like there's perhaps something that's misunderstood in this situation for you, Aquarius, and that's why it's coming out with like that's something that you can focus on, is because I feel like, especially with the nothing will come of this situation, if you've been in that state of like sort of like giving up on something, that there's something misunderstood about that. It's like that with the sea serpent, perhaps because it's talking to me about like completion. I always see that with sort of like the serpent. But it's because in that Pisces reading, I was talking about IKEA, where you kind of have to go through the entire showroom and follow sort of the arrows until you reach the ending again. And once you get there, once you get to the end, which is also the beginning, that's when you see the staircase that brings you into a different level or the next part, right? And so I'm seeing this as being like, perhaps you didn't see the next step because you hadn't yet reached the ending, right? So it's like kind of like you feel like you're in a maze or lost or whatever it is, because the ending or the next step only becomes clear once you've returned back to the start, is kind of what's coming through and with the eye, right? It's like you can't see the full picture yet. There's something has absolutely been hidden. I don't want to say it like that though. It's not like it's like purposely been hidden from you, but it's been misunderstood in some way, or you had to reach a certain point in order for the misunderstanding to become clear, is kind of how it's coming through. And I want to say with the teachers as well, because I didn't really talk about this. I'm not sure exactly what the message is for this. Is like, but because it's with the gazelle, it's almost like perhaps you thought, okay, that's okay. Perhaps you thought that you were alone in this. So how this is, because, but there's two. There's someone else or something else here. What? Okay, this is where this message is. Okay, hold on, give me a minute. So, in my neighborhood, there's a park across the street from my house, and I take my dog out there in the afternoons for a walk. And for the longest time, there's sort of like a hill, right? A hill, and at the top of the hill, there's a monument where a lot of people just go to sit, right? It's like a nice view at the top of a hill. And for every time I go out there in the afternoon, I see people, or like a person, I hear music, right? There's somebody who goes up there to play like a flute type instrument. I think it's a flute. I'm not sure. But because they're at a distance, I can only hear the flute, and I only see one figure, or like my vision of who they are is not clear to me. Then one day it was raining, so they couldn't go up on the hill, and they came down to the sort of covered area of the park, right, which was much closer to me. So when they did that, I realized that it wasn't just one musician playing, it wasn't just a flute. There was also a cello or a bass. One of those, like, probably not a bass, a celloist playing with them. There was always two musicians playing together, but because of the distance, I couldn't hear the cello and I couldn't see the other person there. So it's kind of like that message where it's like, now that they're closer, now that this opportunity is closer, now that it's like something is about to shift in this position, all of a sudden you can see that suddenly there's somebody else perhaps on the other side of this, right? It's like you thought you were going to have to raise these two opportunities on your own, but there's actually somebody else who's going to assist in that process. Okay. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, I feel like that go watch the Pisces reading. Okay, so here in the area to focus on for you, Aquarius, is the deer, which I love these two cards together, where it's like this one's the heat lamp, right? Putting a lot of energy or focus towards a certain goal or perspective. And then this deer is so much more like relaxed and kind of like free of the burden, right? Free of any sort of burden. It's kind of like you've cleaned up or I just want to say like relaxed, right? This is kind of, because you do have here the Emperor, which I love so much, right? Because I see this as being sort of like the feminine energy, a very sort of someone who is perhaps more feminine in terms of their natural inclinations, right? It's like more of a feminine energy, having to use a lot of sort of masculine energies in order to stay focused on a particular task or withstand a lot of burden that perhaps is feeling a little bit like an over representation of masculine energy, perhaps something like that, right? So it's like once this sort of thing happens, once the eggs hatch, right? Once the opportunities arrive, you're free to sort of go back into your natural state is kind of how this message is feeling today. So the thing that's been misunderstood is coming through with this owl and the octopus. So the owl, to me, this one specifically talks to me about like a blessing or a message, that there's something is going to arrive to clear up whatever this misunderstanding is, right? It could just be this message, or it could be the Pisces message or something like that. And with the octopus, I'm not sure. It's kind of feeling like a teacher kind of, or friend energy, right? It's kind of feeling like a friend. Somebody that you are absolutely connected with. It's like when the two of you get together, you think along the same lines, right? All of this sort of like your mind space is shared, that kind of thing. It's like you have exactly the same ideas or the same impulses or desires or whatever. It's like a friend coming in is kind of how it's feeling. It's like, because the shark has been coming out so much recently as being sort of like, it could have been like if you were trying to connect with a friend, and it's like that, like it could be much more simple. Like you just wanted to like hang out with your friend, but they were busy, or something about like being in an energy that they were having to be in because of their environment. It's like having to put on armor of some sort, or having to sort of be in this energy of like, you must like defend yourself, or like it's like a fight to the death kind of energy. I have no idea why it's coming through with that today, but it's like they had to put on some sort of armor or something in order to get through a difficult environment. It's kind of how it's coming through. But it's like once that's over, because I feel like there is something else that you're not seeing in this situation. Once this situation is over, they're gonna come back into being like your best friend, right? Like they're gonna be back into naturally who they are. That's what was being hidden or misunderstood. Okay, Aquarius, I'm gonna pause here. I'm gonna move to the extended that's already posted on YouTube, so you can watch it immediately after this. We're going to continue on with what's something that you can focus on and an area of growth for you. Thank you so much for watching. I do have other videos if you're interested in watching those. Thanks for sharing your energy with me, and I will see you in the next one.